So, you're just like me and you still stall. Now, every manual video I've seen on YouTube is always just slowly off the clutch, slowly on the gas at the same time, and then you're rolling. Or, even worse, bring your revs up first and then off the clutch. But most of these videos just don't explain why you're stalling and the fundamental skill of learning how to drive manual. Now, why am I talking like I know how to drive manual? As you've seen in the thumbnail, I myself am a complete beginner. I have around 15 hours of driving manual. I just got legalized to drive manual because of my license restrictions. None of my family members even care remotely about cars. So why am I giving advice to people? Well, the thing is, most of the tutorials on YouTube are from very experienced manual drivers, and best case, they'll have an inexperienced person with them. But I am an inexperienced person, and I got pretty decent with these few tips I'm about to explain. So as a beginner, I feel like I am right in the shoes of a beginner person, which is you guys. So I really hope these tips and tricks help you out. Now, I say I'm a beginner, but I'm pretty comfortable with driving manual. I can rev match, and I can heel toe. You don't really learn those things as a beginner, but these tips that helped me improve my driving really fast allowed me to learn things like this. Enthusiast level skills that I use every day. So how did I actually get good at driving manual? Or how did I get better at driving manual at a really fast rate? To start off, how did I even get myself in a manual car? Not having any family members who have drive manual, not having any cars to practice on, not wanting to have an instructor. Luckily enough, I had a friend who had a manual car, just got his license, and he was willing to teach me. So, once every few weeks, I would hop in his car for around 10 to 15 minutes and I would try my best not to stall. That was mistake number one, being afraid to stall in a manual car. Stalling is a lot better than burning the clutch. Most manual driving videos tell you to start in a car park, and I think that is really good advice. But what I think a car park is most useful for is continuous stops and starts. For example, this is a really small car park. You are probably not going into second at this size of car park. So what did I use this for? This is right next to my house. This is kind of the size most car parks are. Huge car parks that are actually empty are really rare. So most people find themselves with car parks like this. What throttle blip starts and slowly on the clutch and slowly on the gas at the same time doesn't teach you is your bite point. Now, what is a bite point? This is the difference between beginners and advanced manual drivers. Advanced drivers rely on feel rather than visuals. Learner drivers really rely on visual aids instead of using other senses of their body. What do I mean by this? As a beginner, when I was first driving my friend's car, manual for the first time, he told me to look at the revs. So, when you look at the revs, when you get to the bite point, you will see the revs will drop and then it will blip up. Again, revs will drop and it will blip up. He also told me another thing which I didn't really pay attention to, which I really think you should. It is what you hear as well. You'll kind of hear the engine kind of turn off or lower its revs, right? So that's a hearing thing. Most importantly, you'll feel the car shake. I can't really demonstrate this, but the car will shake. So those are two things you should really pay attention to when first starting out in manual. Now, how to do continuous stop starts? All you have to do is bite point, combine those three things. Hearing the engagement point, seeing the engagement point, feeling the engagement point. You don't even need gas. you can just hold it at the bite point. Then clutch in, brake in, neutral, clutch out. Also, neutral is your friend. Your clutch is not your friend. Don't learn bad habits, because bad habits compound. If you learn that clutch is your safe point, you are going to be holding onto that clutch and destroying your throw bearing. Instead, shift it into neutral, let go of that clutch. And again, clutch in, first gear, get to the bite point. If your car's not rolling, a little bit of gas, but hold it there. Slip it. It's fine to slip the clutch a little bit when you're first starting out, but hold it there. Move a little bit. Get used to holding it. And do it again and again. Because what you want to be doing is getting to the bite point first and then slowly adding gas. And then when you want to do quick starts, you kind of do it at the same time, but without burning out your clutch. Some tips that I'm about to give you that really help you hold the clutch, give you better clutch control, is nothing to do with shifting or hold, or what point to hold it at. Is actually how you press in with your leg. I feel like this is not talked about at all in manual driving videos, how to actually press in the clutch. People just say press the clutch in, slowly out. But how do we actually achieve that? Just think about the muscles in your legs. Your quads are a lot bigger than your calves. For example, you can squat down really slowly and squat up really, really slowly as well. But try do a calf raise really slowly up and really slowly down. That is really difficult. What I'm trying to say is, too many people, including me when I first started, were using their calves to press in the clutch. So what I did as a beginner that was really bad for my clutch control was constantly using my toe to press in the clutch. Not only that, I had my heel off the floor. So, funnily enough, I would start shaking because of the nerves and really stressing my calf muscles. I see a lot of videos on YouTube showing the same thing. If you see the guy with a crease in his foot, that means he is flexing his calf, extending out his ankle to press in the clutch. This is bad because when you're fully tensing out a muscle that you're not used to using every day, you have really bad control. How do we solve this? If you feel like this is the only way to press in the clutch, you could use some floor support. Keep your foot on the floor and slide it gently. This, however, I've seen mixed success with because there's a lot of floor resistance. So, my solution is to press the clutch with the center of your foot. That way, you're forced to use your quads instead of your calves. More used muscles means more control on the clutch. This is one of my biggest tips to help manual drivers with their clutch control. This helped me a lot in speed bumps to get out of car parks. You know how they are really slow, and I've stalled a bunch because I had no feeling in my leg. When my foot was flexed up all the way, you can't feel anything. But if you're relaxed, you can feel through the pedal and feel other things because now your mental energy is relieved. And how to actually change gears. If you're struggling to change up and down gears, it is because you're thinking too much about shifting. The way you change gears is to really avoid a misshift. And if you know how to avoid misshifts, you don't have to think about it as much. So you focus on your clutch control more. How do we actually change gears without thinking about misshifting? First should be all the way. Point your hand to the other direction. Don't put your hand on top of the gear knob. All the way out, all the way up. Second should be same thing, out and down. I've missed second a lot of times because of the neutral centering. Then again, neutral centering is your best friend in third, fourth, and fifth. So for third, cup the shifter really relaxed with a really relaxed hand. Push it up into neutral and push it up. What that looks like when you do it really fast is like this. Up into neutral and straight up. You kind of just push the gear knob forward. For fourth, you can do whatever, just straight back. Fifth, a lot of people get fifth wrong. People just kind of push fifth into that general direction, but that kind of puts a lot of stress on your gear shifter, and it's just not a good habit. So with fifth, use the neutral centering if you're already in fourth, and push it to the side and up. For me, fifth is the hardest to learn in every new car. And for sixth, simple as that, just push down. Reverse will be all the way to one side and all the way up, so different in every car. But that's kind of how you row through all the gears without even thinking of it. It looks something like this in motion. There, I'm lugging my engine. So that's what happens. I'm doing this because I want to keep the speeds low, but a big part of why people stall is they also lug their engine and their RPMs drop down too much because they are nervous on how to shift. That is how you don't want to really think about, and you never want to look at your shift knob when shifting through gears. Hill starts. This is probably the hardest part about driving manual. If you find yourself on a hill, you let go of everything and you roll back. The thing I was most scared about is rolling back. But find yourself a really easy empty hill to practice on. Make sure nothing's behind you. What really improved my hill starts was, again, holding the bite point. That is why I really emphasize learning the bite point of your car. Again, using big muscle groups, into first, on the brake, hear it, feel it. Don't look at the RPMs. Then, when you're on the clutch, just hold it there, a little bit of gas, and slowly release. Hold the bite point, don't even release it too much. And then as you get going, you can release it faster and faster. So, when I was told to slowly release and slowly put gas, I would bunny hop, I would lug the engine, I would stall, I would do all of that. But as soon as I went, hold bite point, on brake, and then on gas, hill starts just became so much easier. And a final tip. Why I think car parks are useless for everything but continuous stops and starts is because real world, the hardest part about driving manual is the stress other drivers put on you. So, a big tip that I used is learn to stop and start less. That way, you won't stall as much, especially on traffic lights. If you're at the front of the traffic light, I know how hard it can get. I've been there. Yeah, it's not the greatest feeling. So, how do we stop and start less? If you apply these tips, if your gear shifting is smooth, if your clutch control is good, but you still really feel a lot of pressure when driving on the street, rev matching is good if you want to stay in gears without going into neutral, without braking. So when you see that traffic light red, even if you're around 500 meters away, start to engine brake slowly with rev matching. Don't use just your clutch. That is a good way to kind of wear out your clutch. And then sometimes you get bad luck and it just stays red. Worst case, you just stop, put into neutral. Best case, light turns green and you're still rolling in gear, so you just get on the gas and you don't have to stop and start again. Not only is this better for fuel economy because you don't have to keep going into first and shifting gears all the time, it's just a nicer, more elegant way to drive. And it's happened to me a bunch of times and it's satisfying every time. That is my final tip. Now, I hope these tips really helped you out. Please like and subscribe, share, and comment down below. I'm a beginner. I still will benefit from a bunch of tips. If you're an advanced driver and you completely disagree, let me know. I haven't tried these tips out on any other beginners apart from me. These just worked really well for me.